big news.
I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines.
Nah, it's real news for once.
The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny in the corner. To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker. Kenneth Walker. Touchdown. Smarty. Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up. Yes. Caught. Touchdown Detroit Lions. They did it. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the receiving end. Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Good Monday morning to you. It is the 13th day of November 2023. We welcome you here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Ben Glaze, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us. No matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio, Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. And, of course, worldwide on the iHeartRadio app. We say good morning, too. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. You can text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports Radio to 21000. Myers Supercenter guest line 866-838-4843. That's 866-838-4843. We're on Twitter at XP Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros, and of course, good morning to our television audience as well on BCSN and streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. At .com to that to find our website. xbmornings@gmail.com is our fan feedback email inbox. And you can find us all individually on Twitter. Ben Glaze is at the Ben Glaze. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. And I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. Happy Monday.
Good morning. Yeah, it's exciting to be here on a Victory Monday.
Oh, we love a Victory Monday,
yes.
Don't we? Goodness gracious, what a football game yesterday. Well, which victory were you talking about? Were you talking about
the Lions?
Sunday or Saturday?
Sunday.
I wasn't sure. I thought, well, maybe Ben wants to run it 30 consecutive times in the second half on Saturday, and maybe he's celebrating not having to use the forward pass in a football game in the second half. I don't know. I didn't know what victory Victory Monday you wanted to celebrate there, Ben. So it's a good day. It's a great day. It's great to watch some of the arguments take place. How people feel. People and their feelings, everybody's getting worked up about everything. It's great. I was pretty worked up yesterday, I'm not going to lie. Watching that Lions game, I was pretty and you know what, even the Michigan game Saturday, I was pretty fired up about. I usually don't watch a game and yell at the TV. That's not really, they can't hear me and I can't do anything about it. It's usually the stance I take, but I was pretty fired up both days. It felt really good both days on Saturday and Sunday. Just to be able to, line up across from the other team and run it right at them. Like that, there is a great feeling when your offensive line figures it out and just starts pushing people around. Your running backs are just taking the ball. It's a great feeling. It truly is. And at least we had that because the Pistons played last night, and my God, were they awful. I like the pick of Marcus Sasser. I like the pick of Cade Cunningham. Sadiq Bey is no longer on the team. Killian wasn't worth drafting at 7, and Beef Stew, he's pretty good. He's all right. He's a good player. I like the pick of Jalen Duren. I like the pick of Jaden Ivey. I really like the pick of Asar Thompson. They better figure it out and figure it out relatively quick, or this season is going to be a wash. And I don't really know how, I don't know how much longer when you look at Oklahoma City, Orlando, a team like Minnesota, some teams have turned it around and figured it out. Then there's the Pistons and the Tigers, who haven't done either. The Tigers have been in a quote-unquote rebuild now for how many years? And we all just assume and expect that this year will be different in 2024 for the Detroit Tigers. The Pistons, on the other hand, my God. I mean, somebody better figure it out and figure it out fast. And I don't know what the answer is, but these kids better stop getting used to losing. I'll put it that way, because it's pretty evident that they kind of already know the writing's on the wall. And to lose to the Chicago Bulls, I don't know. I just don't know. Adam Silver wanted to talk about we've got great coaches and so our offenses are so what's the right word? What word did he say to describe their offense? Complex. We have such complex offenses. We paid a lot of money to a guy to not lose this many games. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now on today's date. I don't believe in the Jaden Ivey's faking his sickness rumors and, beliefs like that. He'll figure it out. You have no idea if he's willing to accept his role right now. Unless you talk to him, which I'm, willing to bet no one here has talked to him. So let's let it play out a little bit and see how that goes. It's just a mess of a team. At least the Wings were able to pick up a victory over the weekend. That's a positive. Now that I can get behind a little bit, because that performance there from the Pistons was disgusting. All right, what else is going on in the sports world? We'll try to get you all caught up with all the happenings. We'll do so right now in the headlines.
Big news.
I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines.
No, it's real news for once.
The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
5 NFL games ended on game-winning field goals, the most in one day ever, including your Detroit Lions. Jason Meyer sent the Seahawks to a 29-26 win over the Washington Commanders when he hit a 43-yarder. Cleveland Browns over the Baltimore Ravens, Texans over the Bengals, what a game that was, Cardinals over the Falcons, and the Lions over the Chargers. How about that? According to the Elias Sports Bureau Research Department, 5 matchups decided by a game-winning score as time expired in regulation is the most ever on a single day in NFL history. The Browns, however, trailed for 59 minutes and 20 seconds before the field goal. That's pretty crazy. Christian McCaffrey's touchdown streak ended, but so did the 49ers skid, so it's worth the trade. They beat the Jaguars and beat the hell out of them. If I'm not mistaken, I believe, according to our Friday lines and best bets with Matt Kowalas, I think he pushed on the Detroit Lions, had the Niners -3, took DK Metcalf, David Montgomery, 10-0-2 in the last 3 Fridays here on this show. Like, might be worth paying attention to if you want to dabble. Might be pretty solid right there. 34-3 was your final score for the Niners over the Jaguars, and 17 consecutive games with a touchdown. That streak is gone. Deshaun Watson leading the Browns to a statement victory against the Ravens. They played some bully ball. I can't wait to see what happens next year when the tush push is banned, because there are so many plays on Sundays where running backs get stalled and the offensive line and everybody else on the team says, "Up, here we go." And they just load up and they push. And that's exactly what took place as the Browns were down 1 point before they got their massive first down, took a couple knees to milk the clock, used the timeouts from Baltimore, and then kicked the game-winning field goal. So it'll look interesting. The Patriots bench Mac Jones. Mac Jones for the final drive in their loss to the Colts. Bailey Zappi came in with 152. They're a mess. They are a mess, and it's glorious to see. Pistons lose 108-119 to the Chicago Bulls. Kevin Knox was your leading scorer for the Pistons with 18 points on 7 of 8 shooting. Cade Cunningham was 4 of 15, finished with 10, 3, and 5 in 38 minutes of action. Lions a winner, 41-38. Red Wings, they won over the weekend, 5-4. We'll step aside. We'll get into that Red Wings game next here. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Bill Simonson here for my friends at Urban U. They're Michigan's best med spa. Now, they have multiple locations in the Grand Rapids metro area, and you'll find an Urban U location in Northville on the east side of the state. And this is a message for any guy listening right now. How often do you think about your skin health care? Well, Urban U has multiple options that could help you immediately. Whether you work out a lot, you run, your job requires a lot of sweating, you need to think about your skin health care, and Urban U can help you, hydrofacials, and so much more, or even your kids. Think about that. If your son, your daughter's playing a lot of sports and they're having trouble with their skin health care, Urban U has options that can help today. Just go to theurbanu.com to find out more. Locations in the Grand Rapids metro area and on the east side of the state in Northville, go to theurbanu.com.
Earn bonus points with M-Perks at Meijer for just one more way to save this holiday season. Shop groceries, apparel, gifts, and more, and earn points on it all. And right now, earn 2 times the points for every $1 you spend on select Meijer brand food. Earn points every time you shop and redeem them anytime you want. Make Meijer your one-stop shop for everything you need this holiday season. And with M-Perks, you'll save even more. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org. Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
From Traverse City to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, you're listening to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Hey, folks, Tullymore Golf Resort. You hear me talk about them all the time here on X's and Bros. It's much more than just a golf resort. Even though they have two beautiful championship courses, Tullymore and St. Ives, they've got the lodging and the space available to cater to you, your partner, your foursome, or up to 400 of your closest friends and family or coworkers. Tullymore is not only top-of-the-line golf, but it's also top-of-the-line accommodations and the perfect space for your wedding event, reception, or group outing. So visit TullymoreGolf.com. That's TullymoreGolf.com. Or you could call Matt Golden right now at 1-800-972-4837. That's 1-800-972-4837. Book your stay and play at Tullymore today. Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. That's Ben Glaze and Ryan Elke. I'm Anthony Bellino. We're going to dive into a little bit of the Red Wings over the weekend because they had to run across the pond, and it's kind of a big deal, so it'll be a lot of fun. And then we're going to hop right into the weekend that was in football. We'll do some college football, professional football. Russell Baxter scheduled to join us at 7:35. We missed him on Friday last week. Look, man, it happens, right? It's early in the morning. I don't hold it against anybody. And most of the time when people are like, you got anything later, like after 9? I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I don't blame you for not getting up. So we have we'll talk a little NFL football, and then, of course, Lions, and a lot of Lions and more Lions. But the Red Wings with the winner this weekend. Things got a little scary, but Lucas Raymond got things started off early on Saturday as they were taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Rally in after it. He goes down in a heap. Red Wings pick it off. Here's Raymond in behind the Columbus goal. Jams it in short side. He scores! Oh, it looked like he was going to go around the net and wrap it around. Instead, he brought it right out in front, tucked it into the corner, and the Red Wings lead 1-0.
How about Ken Cal back on the call? Welcome back, Ken Cal. We love you, Ken. Great to have you, right? And then all of a sudden, it was you felt pretty good as it was 2-0. This is all taking place while the Michigan game is going on. So on Saturday, it's a 1:00 puck drop for the Wings. It's obviously noon kickoff for Michigan, and then it's a noon kickoff for Alabama. So those are the three games that I went with. I wanted to see the Crimson Tide. Obviously, you knew I was going to be locked into the Michigan game. And then the Wings came on. So I was like, okay, it's a perfect little day. And then every time I tweet about the Wings, someone would be like, are you not watching the game? Like, yeah, I'm watching the game. Relax. It's I stepped aside for 1 minute to say, hey, just for the record, in case you're not watching, the Wings scored. In case you care. That's all I'm telling you.
Shot right side goal line, sticked away by Martin. From the line, Petrie with a shot and a screenshot right there. Martin a save. It's tucked in front. The Wings score! A centering attempt. Robbie Fabry from right out in front fires it in. 2-0 Detroit. 4 minutes, 26 seconds into the game.
So then you felt pretty good. Then Columbus answered right back. It was like 2-2, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. Now Lucas Raymond had his 45th career goal, which was the first of two Red Wings goals in a span of 45 seconds to get the action started over the weekend. And the most career goals before the age of 22 in franchise history, Lucas Raymond with 45 has moved up the list. Just for the record, if you want some sort of, gauge here, Raymond's got 45. Ted Lindsay had 51. Dylan Larkin had 56. Gordie Howe had 70. Steve Yzerman had 114. How about that? It's pretty impressive. Most career goals before the age of 22. 114 by Stevie Y. All right, so we were tied at 2-2, and everybody felt relatively, it's like, okay, you go up 2-0 against Columbus. They're a team that is, 4-6-3 entering this. You got to win this game. They go 2-2 to end the first. You don't like the way that ended, and then, okay, they got the first goal of the next period, and you don't like the way that ended because now all of a sudden it's 3-2 Columbus, and you're like, dude, no way. No way we're going to do this again. Then Alex DeBrincat gets back in the action because, of course, he does. Why not?
Tie each other up, peek after the puck in the corner. Raymond bottled him up, and now it goes down to Petrie in the slot. DeBrincat score!
The Cat stayed active on that one. Stayed active. I mean, he was floating around. He was able to relocate just inside of the right face-off circle with his right-handed shot, set himself up nicely. One-timer. Boom, you feel good about that. It's tied at 3. The Red Wings would then take the lead because of Mr. Sprong here.
Severson, the former Devil, moves it ahead. Pass off the stick of Corrali in front. Sprong moves in. He scores!
So then you feel good about 4-3, and then you add one more, make it 5-3, and Columbus would get one late to make it 5-4. But that's your final. Look, I am very happy that the Wings won this game. They now lead the series 2-0. They have one game left against Columbus. That'll come on March 19th. They outshot Columbus 28-22. The hits were just about equal. Columbus had one more, 13-12. Penalty minutes were the same. Detroit dominated the faceoff dot. I mean, come on, 61-38. Like, that's, 61.5 to 38.5. Like, all right, there you go. It was it was a good game, except for, I'm just going to say it out loud, goaltending's an issue. Goaltending is an issue. And look, I know that, okay, we can point blame or place blame on whomever we'd like to because, and I get it. You can't serve up hot and ready's in the middle of the ice. I totally understand that. You can't turn the puck over in your own end. I get that too. But eventually, like, your guys are not going to be able to play perfect hockey. The guys on the other teams are pros too. You're going to have to stop the puck. Like, it happens. Sometimes, your guys will turn it over. There will be an odd man rush going the other way. That will come. It could come off of a shot, right? You could dump it in the zone, lose possession, whatever the case may be. The other team has the puck, and what they're going to do is shoot it at you, and you have to be able to stop it. At some point, that's got to happen, and that is not happening right now, and it is making me highly, highly concerned, right? And I usually like to wait things out. I don't like to put too much on the goalie because goaltending is very, very difficult, and I don't want to be that guy. But right now, Ville Husso, I'm concerned. I don't think that – I think that goaltending, we're not going to win because of it. And that's not going to get you very far in the playoffs, right? And for this Detroit team that has 18 points on the year, they're 8-5-2. They trail Florida by a point and Boston by 6, tied with Toronto, 2-point lead on Tampa Bay, 2-point lead on Montreal, 3-point lead on Buffalo, 6-point lead on Ottawa. Like, you're right in the thick of it. You're going to have to win some games. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, I'm sorry, it sounds obvious as hell, but like, they are going to have to win some games. Like, goaltending is going to have to win some games for them. Like, that's just the way that it is. So now, the Detroit Red Wings, which I think this is very interesting because of the long-term connection between the two. The Detroit Red Wings are going to participate in the Global Series in Sweden. So the forward Lucas Raymond, very excited to, get back home. And the Red Wings, off to this good start. They win 5-4 against the Jackets, and then they hop on a flight and head to Sweden for the 2023 NHL Global Series. Sweden, that's what it is. Global Series Sweden. The Red Wings got into Stockholm, or flying to Stockholm Saturday night, so get there yesterday morning. They'll play 2 Atlantic Division games at Avicii Arena. I believe it's Avicii Arena, named after the highly famous music producer who died way too young, but I believe Avicii was Finnish. The Ottawa Senators, who will be the opponent on Thursday at 2 p.m., that'll be on Bally Sports Detroit, and the Toronto Maple Leafs on Friday, once again on Bally Sports. Both of these games are 2 p.m. puck drops, so pretty cool that this is somewhere. It's not like NFL Mexico, where NFL goes to Mexico City, and it's like, no, they go there or the NBA goes to Mexico City. The NFL went to Frankfurt, right? How many players in the NFL have actually German-born players came over here to play football? Like, there's maybe a couple. Sweden has a massive connection to the Red Wings, much like Russia. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen, but I really like this a lot, and I think it's good for the organization. I think it's good for the league, and it's awesome for that country to be able to host this because, obviously, there's a huge connection between Swedish-born players and the NHL. So good for them. Those are the 2 games that they are going to play across the pond. We'll step aside, talking Michigan football next. Get in your feelings and call us here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Br0's, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Br0 here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Doran Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy, or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Br0. Easiest way, you can call Br0, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BENEGARTR.com, or look for Br0, soon to be Doran Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's a Black Friday free fall every week in November. Each week, nab the best deal around with drawings from 3 to 11 p.m. Every hour, 4 lucky players will win up to $1,000 premium play. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. It's Black Friday free fall. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. So great to have you riding along with us. No matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio. Boy, it's beautiful worldwide on the iHeartRadio app. Look, folks, in the NBA, the game could change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, you know the DraftKings Sportsbook has your back this week. New customers, easy for me to say, get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Best of all, it's safe, secure, and reliable with 24/7 support. You can deposit, withdraw your cash whenever, wherever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE. Promo code HUGE. New customers get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Only using the promo code HUGE. The crown is yours. Now, if you or somebody knows a gambling problem, wants help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-270-7117. Must be 21 years of age and older. Physically present in Michigan. Eligibility and deposit restrictions to apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. That's new. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. If you don't understand the reference, there was a commercial with Lil Jon in the East Side Boys, but Lil Jon, the voice of the NBA a few years ago, Kristaps Porzingis was still playing for the New York Knicks, and he had, in the promo, he was like 7-foot unicorn called Porzingo, and then at the end of the promo, he was like basketball, and it's just something that always kind of stuck with me. All right, let's get into what took place on Saturday. So on Saturday, the Michigan Wolverines were headed to Happy Valley on Friday, I should say. And on Friday, at 1 o'clock, still nothing had happened. We were still waiting on word what was going to happen with Jim Harbaugh. And still waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And eventually, the Big Ten would send out a letter, and that would be that Jim Harbaugh would not be eligible to coach for the final 3 games of the season. That's what it is. And it was pretty interesting because it was at 3:18 Saturday, almost 24 hours after the news had dropped that the Big Ten had suspended Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh. The final seconds ticked off the Wolverines' biggest win of the year. And it was the offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, getting the nod once again to be the head coach. And what had happened was on Friday, the Big Ten had suspended Jim Harbaugh for the remainder of the regular season as the conference disciplines the program under its sportsmanship policy amid the ongoing NCAA investigation into the school's in-person sign-stealing scandal. Hours later, Harbaugh and the university requested a temporary restraining order in Washtenaw County Court. They filed an emergency motion, which, if granted, would give the judge the ability to stop Harbaugh's suspension before hearing the arguments from the defendants, the Big Ten and Commissioner Tony Petitti. The judge could rule on the restraining order before Wolverines played Penn State Saturday at noon. Michigan's plane landed Friday afternoon, shortly before the suspension was announced. Harbaugh's restraining order not granted. Sharon Moore serving as the head coach, right? And it's Veterans Day. It's a weekend. The Big Ten had waited until Friday. Like, why did they not just hand this out earlier? Kind of felt like it was a little late for the Big Ten's part. Kind of felt like they were thumbing their nose a little bit at Michigan, because why would you wait until Friday when the plane's in the air? That, to me, something about that didn't smell right. But, okay. All right. That's the way you want to do it. That's totally fine. Maybe we'll find out more this week, as Michigan lawyers have argued that Petitti's actions break the contract between the conference and its members by using sportsmanship policy to punish Harbaugh instead of waiting for the results of an open NCAA investigation into the alleged scheme. The Big Ten rules say that sportsmanship policy may only be used to punish an individual found to have committed an offensive action or the institution responsible for that person. So basically, institutional control, I get it. I understand. I know why they went after Harbaugh, right? Because this is why, and I've said this my entire life, this is why college coaches make the money that they make. Unless you're Jimbo Fisher. Then it doesn't really matter what you do because you're going to get fired and you're going to get paid anyways. That's just that is the way that it is. And so Harbaugh, being the face of the organization, he gets the 3-game suspension because that just is what it is. You're the guy. You're the guy. And I saw a lot of funny takes. Like Br0's his take was pretty funny about Penn State being the first team to run a play inside the 10-yard line against Michigan. I guess that's what happens when you stop running a spy operation. I thought that Penn State was a top 10 team in the country. Apparently, they no longer are. They no longer are a top 10 team. In fact, they're a terrible team, is what I gathered from the internet, because that's where we stand at. Because what had happened is that when Michigan plays a game, is it a big game? Yes or no? There's a flow chart for this. If it's a big game, and you go, if you say no, like BG, UNLV, or those 2 games right there. Okay, those aren't big games, so it's not a big game. If Michigan is playing a big game, is that team ranked? Yes or no? Did Michigan win the game? And if Michigan wins the game, then it is no longer a big game. Right? That's how these goalposts continue to move. Is that if Michigan wins the game, then everything else is kind of off. Now, Biff Poggi went on the record, one of Harbaugh's right-hand man. He said, I've been quiet on this Michigan situation, but no longer. I was closer to Jim Harbaugh over the last 3 years than anyone except his wife and kids. If Jim knew, I would have known. I didn't know, neither did he. I staked my reputation on it. Stop whining and get a better team. The assigned judge to this is a Michigan Law School lecturer, Timothy P. Connors. I love that, too. Shout out to Michigan Law there. So that's always fun. Look, we can go on and on about, whether you or not you like Jim Harbaugh. We can go on and on about whether or not you think he should be suspended for the rest of the season or whatever the case may be, whatever you think that is. The president of the university, Santa Ono, sent out a tweet last night. Now, this tweet, I would say, would be very, very comparative to how the press conference for Dan Campbell went. And the press conference for Dan Campbell was meant for the consumption of Lions fans. We can all agree there, correct? Like, that's what we can all agree on. Like, that press conference he was speaking specifically to Detroit. And what I find is very interesting about this is the amount of individuals that are upset or commenting on the unit. I couldn't tell you who the president. I know that Gene Smith is the athletic director at Ohio State. I have no idea who the president of Ohio State is. I don't even know who the president of Michigan State is. But Santa Ono went to Twitter and said, countless members of the University of Michigan family have reached out to me over the weekend. I want to express my appreciation. Like any community, we face our share of challenges and adversity. There have been many such moments in our history, but as our team showed so clearly yesterday, we will respond to any challenge head-on with conviction to do better and emerge even stronger. Go Blue. That's it. That is it. I'm not denying. I'm not deflecting. We're not playing the victim. At least I don't see it like I'm playing the victim. Like, why, if that's the university president, why are you up in arms about what he's saying? He's not speaking to you. He's speaking to the Michigan community. Like, that's what it is. And if you knew anything about Michigan, you would know that, Schlissel wasn't exactly a big athletics guy, right? Ono is. That's important. The fact that Ward Manuel came out and had a very big statement, that's important because this is what's going on. It's like, hey, Here's what we know. We also don't know a whole bunch. Here's what we're being punished for. We need to kind of band together. Oh, good. I'm happy for you. I am. A lot of people in my mentions about whether or not this is right or wrong. And that is, it's basically it's a promo. Anthony, is it okay to cheat? Says one individual. No, it's not okay to cheat. The question is, did they cheat? Did they knowingly cheat? I'll tell you, at first when the story broke out, because I've been back and forth on this a lot. The first thing I'm like, there's no way they didn't know what was going on, because how would you not? But then as the story goes on, and it's kind of like, okay, this guy is obsessed with returning Michigan to the glory. He's got the 500-page manifesto. Is it possible that this guy comes up, walks into the facility, and is like, all right, here's all the signs for everything. This is the other team. This is what they got. And the first day he does it, they're like, all right, let's take a look. Let's see if he's right. And then he's right. And then he continues to be right. And then he's always right. And then you're like, okay, we don't know how this guy is doing this. And to be honest with you, we're not going to ask questions. But this guy, he's got them figured out. However he does it, we don't know. I'm okay with that. I think that's a pretty believable story. I think that if somebody came up to you and said, look at this information that I have. This is it good information? Is it valid? Let's see if it's valid. Let's test it. It tested out, came back good. Some of you might immediately say, why wouldn't you ask, how did you get it? That incriminates you. That's what that does. I'm not going to ask anything. That's fine. This is the information you have. We realize that this guy hits 90%. Let's ride with it. He's good at what he does. Let's get him. He can up himself from intern to paid employee. He is our sign-stealing extraordinaire. Because every team's got him. We're just not going to ask how he did it. That seems pretty legit. I think most people would say, you know what? You don't ask. Some of you are going to be like, how would you not ask? Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to, right? If, for instance, have you ever seen, and I'll use the films, for example, have you ever seen The Godfather, for example, right? If you've seen that film, you know that there were activities taking place where sometimes knowing less is more. I don't need to know how. I just need to know that the job got done. Was the job done? Yes or no? How did it happen? Not really my concern. There you go. There you have it. I took care of it. How'd you do that? Don't worry about it. The less you know, the better. I have the signs. How'd you get them? Don't worry about it. I got them, though. This is how we decipher them. This is it. That seems legitimate to me. So then you go to Penn State, and the game is this is going to be Michigan's first true test, they told us all week long. Hardy, har, har. And in the first half, if you follow me on Twitter, I was not at all pleased with what we saw out of our offensive line. Every single question I had about our offensive line in the first two drives, oh my God, our right tackle was getting beat like a drum. Chop Robinson, we needed to chop is what we needed to do. Chop Robinson. And then they figured out that what we could do is we could just run the ball the entire game because they literally cannot stop it. And we have not ran the ball well all season. Not to the level that we did on Saturday, where Blake Corum goes for 145 yards and Donovan Edwards goes for 52. 227 total yards on the ground against, a top 2 rushing defense in the country? Oh, Penn State's so good. Well, now that Michigan beats them, Penn State's not good. Paul Feinbaum's not impressed. That's what he said. Not impressed with the victory. Okay. Stephen A., nobody's happy about this victory now. Now this victory doesn't count. And we're used to that. That's typically what happens when you beat somebody. A lot of people were very upset or mocking an emotional Sharon Moore after the game. He's 37 years old. And I had made the comment about this that, look, especially here at the University of Michigan, not too many black men get the opportunity to do this. It's more than just Sharon Moore talking about Jim Harbaugh. It's about Jim Harbaugh giving him the keys to the vehicle, right? Things are tough. Suspension the day before. Sharon, you got it. You got O-line, you got offensive coordinator, now you got head coach duties as well. A lot of people didn't like that comment that I made. What's him have to do in black have to do with anything? Being black. Well, how many black head coaches have we had? That should answer that question. Is that easy? It's about perspective. And you can't share the perspective because you're not it. So it doesn't really matter now, does it? That's why he's emotional. That's why he's upset. That's why he's F-bombing. And look, I said it. I said, Sharon, you gotta reel it in here a little bit. You can't be just dropping F-bombs on national television. But it worked. And everybody rallied around it. Everybody's happy. Michigan football team gets back on campus. They go to the hockey game, celebrate with the hockey team. That's awesome. Michigan football beat a top 10 team in Penn State by throwing 8 passes, completing 7 of 8 passes for 60 yards. That's all J.J. McCarthy had to do. They did a little with his legs as well. He carried it 8 times for 34 yards. And, of course, the Ohio State slappies. That should end J.J. McCarthy's Heisman. We don't care about the Heisman, man. We really don't. Your quarterback's not going to win it. Maserati Marv might. That's it. That's it. I don't care if it ends the Heisman talk. Imagine scoring more points against Penn State with 24 than Ohio State did. And the guy that tweeted that out that works for ESPN is an Ohio State alum. Ohio State won 20-12. Michigan scored more points than Ohio State did against Penn State without using the forward pass in the second half. Comparatively speaking, that's pretty impressive. At least I seem to think so. So I know that everybody hates now that Michigan won this game. I get it. I was not aware of the amount of people that hated the University of Michigan until this story came out. And then in the evening at 10:15, as I was having my cocktails, Danny Z said, maybe we will be obsessed of not listening to your show. I didn't know what that meant. But, Ryan, don't take this personally. But I did say, no wonder MSU fans are so obsessed with talking about Michigan. First downs were 25-11. Third down, they were 2 of 12. They had 87 rushing yards and 88 passing yards. Just god-awful. This is god-awful, like, the program melted down. Full-blown Chernobyl. We knew that, though. So we knew when Mel Tucker was going to get fired, it was like, oh, it's going to be a rallying cry. Like, see ya. Okay, just stick to tweeting about Michigan because there's nothing else to talk about. That's it. And then to go out and lose to James Madison, game 1 of basketball season. Wow. Had that coming now, didn't you? Not you, Ryan. The other people. So, all that being said, it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine today. We'll wait and see what happens to the rest of the investigation. All I know is that, hey, 24-15, they're 10-0. We move on to Maryland. Back with more X's and Bros after this.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Save on Thanksgiving in one stop at Meijer. Get a Meijer Grade A frozen turkey, 59 cents per pound, limit 1. Plus all the potatoes, stuffing, and tasty pies you could want. And preview Black Friday deals in the Meijer app. Deals so good, you just gotta celebrate. Get Thanksgiving in one stop and shop holiday deals this week at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway every Saturday in November. 2 hourly winners, 5 to 10 p.m., take home a cool $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each night, one lucky guest wins a hot new Jeep Renegade or $15,000. The Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Coming up later today at 3 on The Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
morning, everyone.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Vietnam.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here. Hour number 2, X's and Bros. Ryan is on the line. Let's get right to him. You can join us too. Meyer Supercenter guest line, 866-838-4843, 866-838-4843. Ryan, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. I know I got to pay condolences to you and your Michigan fans because I know Jim Harbaugh unexpectedly passed away this weekend. So I just want to share my condolences with you guys. I know that
I saw some of that on the internet this weekend. Why the condolences?
Oh, because you got, as you know, happened with the first suspension this season. Jim Harbaugh died, right? That's why everything escalated to the measure it did, right?
Is this sarcasm here that I'm sensing?
Oh, no, never.
Is that what I'm picking up on?
No, none at all. No, in all seriousness, though, as you were saying about Penn State, like, oh, it wasn't a big game because Michigan won. And you know what? You went through this last year as well. And this happens every time Michigan and Ohio State face Penn State because as what I spent most of the game doing, I spent most of this game making fun of James Franklin.
Oh.
And the truth of the reality is, no, Penn State is not a top 10 team. But what they are a top 20 team. They're Iowa, triple X. That's really what they are. Like, they have a good defense. Their offense is not great. They can beat up on these other teams. They're not a top 10 team, but they are a top 20 team in the country. Because when you get them away from Michigan and Ohio State, they can do well. They're a very consistent 9 to 10 win program. And that's why it is a good win. That's why it is a good win to go into Happy Valley and to realize a quarter in of like, we can't do a drop back pass. Because if, for all the people saying it ended J.J. McCarthy's Heisman campaign, yeah, because if they tried to make it his Heisman campaign, you're not winning that game. Because the tackles were getting beat so quickly that Michigan's like, okay, we'll just play that to our advantage and let them beat us and just run right by them.
I always find it interesting that, guys like Paul Feinbaum who were, here's my question. Was Penn State a quality win when Ohio State beat them? Was that a top 10 win when Ohio State beat them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's the same quality as win as Michigan got. But also if you're Michigan, and as I think I did when I watched Penn State versus Ohio State, if you watched that game earlier in the year, you just look at it and go, okay, we're good in the Big Ten, as in Michigan fans.
Because I found it interesting that the Buckeyes, from everybody, even myself here on this very program, they had the best wins. They had 2 top 10 wins. They beat Notre Dame when they were ranked number 9, and then Penn State when they were ranked number 7. We found out Notre Dame is a fraud with the amount of losses that they have. And Penn State, as you mentioned, probably isn't worthy of being top 10 in the country, correct?
Right, and Penn State does this.
So why doesn't Ohio State schedule harder? I mean, they don't play anybody. Why would they be number 1? They don't have any quality wins. The only teams they beat were frauds. Who else did they beat? Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, Indiana. How come Ohio State? Where is Ohio State's competition? Why aren't they scheduling harder?
Where's their competition? Ask the rest of the Big Ten. Same for Michigan. Where's the competition? Ask the rest of the Big Ten.
I love it.
It's not the fault of the 3 non-conference games. It's the fault of the other 10 teams in the conference that are terrible. Because you don't see, Georgia versus Tennessee, Georgia versus Missouri, two top 15 teams. Georgia versus, you have LSU, Alabama. You have 7 teams ranked in the top 25. The Big Ten, it's like, we'll give Iowa because they just kind of find ways to win. Penn State, they're beating up on the rest of the Big Ten as the other teams are, but I mean, what else is there really?
It's not
the fault of the non-conference; it's the fault of the conference.
I saw our friend Graham Couch, friend of the show. I might have to call him this week to see. Please come on. I have to. There is no way in hell Coach Ferentz at Iowa could win Big Ten Coach of the Year. That is absolutely preposterous to me. That is
right, and his point,
that was crazy.
His point, I think, was taking out of context because he was like, "Oh well, if a team like MSU is in the Big Ten West, and the coin flipped the right way, Harlan Barnett could be winning Big Ten Coach of the Year." It wasn't saying like, "Oh, MSU is so good they could do this." Like the Big Ten West is so bad that a bad program like MSU could still have a shot to win it.
Aren't you guys 1-2 versus the West?
Yeah, and they blew fourth quarter leads versus Iowa and Minnesota.
I mean, that's like late kick Josh telling me last week, and I like him, Josh Pate. I like him a lot. I think he does a really good job on his college football program. Is that, like, I don't care what you are against the spread. I don't even care how you lost. Like, his big thing was like, Ohio or Penn State isn't the most overrated team in the country. Look at their record against the spread. Hey, guys, we don't play football games and adjust the standings based on your ATS record. No one cares about that. Nobody. Like, that just kind of is what it is. Like, they don't win big games. They can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But it's James Franklin and Penn State, so it'll be a topic this week, and then no one will care because it's Penn State, and we don't care about Happy Valley.
No, and honestly, throughout all of this, you see every fan base crying about this scandal, and I honestly don't care about it because as a fan of my team, in the last 3 years this scandal has supposedly been operating, it wouldn't have changed the outcome of the last 3 games of Michigan State, or it hasn't. Kenneth Walker took over that game. The last 2 years, Michigan State's been a dormant team and had really no shot. So I'm not going to get upset over a fictional score that could have happened, because looking at the two teams, it's like, yeah, nothing's changing.
It is rather interesting, to me, the reaction here to Michigan's victory over Penn State. As long as we are comfortable, as long as everybody agrees and we are comfortable that we can move the goalpost as viewed necessary. I don't think Penn State's are they a top 10 team in my opinion? That's the ranking that the AP gave them in the College Football Playoff Committee, right? They were top 10 for the CFP, if I'm not mistaken, correct? So if the committee thinks that they're a top 10 team, those are the voices and opinions that are going to determine who is going to be in the College Football Playoff. So don't take it up with Michigan that they didn't beat anybody. Take it up with the College Football Playoff Committee and their inability to evaluate correctly who are the best teams in college football. And then remove the committee from their existence, put a set criteria out there, expand the playoffs so that we have a real playoff in this sport, and we can move forward with it. And that sounds great to me.
Penn State, this happens to them every year. Look, Brandon, I was telling this at the beginning of the season. So I was like, I don't think Penn State's a top 10 team. It's like, probably not, but they are a top 15, 20 program. Like, the talent's there. They do well in non-conference. Like, they are it is a quality win. It's just they struggle. James Franklin struggles with Michigan and Ohio State, and that's his biggest thing. He can't win these big games. He never has been able to, and he never will be able to.
It's
take away the quality of the win.
It's Goat Franklin, man. That's who he is. We'll step aside. More X's and Bros after this Michigan Sports Network.
Bill Simonson here for my friends at Urban U. They're Michigan's best med spa. Now, they have multiple locations in the Grand Rapids metro area, and you'll find an Urban U location in Northville on the east side of the state. And this is a message for any guy listening right now. How often do you think about your skin health care? Well, Urban U has multiple options that could help you immediately. Whether you work out a lot, you run, your job requires a lot of sweating, you need to think about your skin health care, and Urban U can help you, hydrofacials, and so much more, or even your kids. Think about that. If your son, your daughter's playing a lot of sports and they're having trouble with their skin health care, Urban U has options that can help today. Just go to theurbanu.com to find out more. Locations in the Grand Rapids metro area and on the east side of the state in Northville, go to theurbanu.com.
Friday, December 1st at Soaring Eagle Casino.
Single record of the year is Better Man.
The album of the year, Killin' Time.
Come on up again, Clint Black.
Clint Black with special guest Josh Grayson. Tickets start at $40. On sale now at the box office and etix.com. Clint Black and Josh Grayson. Friday, December 1st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org. Huge here. AB's doing a heck of a job, and I'm ready to drop some huge opinions about what he's talking about later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
in? Text us using the keyword sports radio and send it to 21000 or tweet us at XB Mornings. Now back to X's and Bros with Anthony Bellino.
Welcome back here, X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you right along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time, would you? Text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 866-838-4843. That's 866-838-4843. Reminder, Tullymore Golf Resort, Canadian Lakes, Michigan, located smack dab in the middle of the state, is much more than just a golf resort for all of your golf course needs, right? They've got the perfect space for your wedding event, reception, or group outing. Canadian Lakes, an hour north of Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant, easy to get to no matter what direction you are coming from. We've got some decent weather. You can still get out there, folks. You can still get out and play. I know it's November, and, you know, we want to go as late as we can till the snow hits the ground, till the frost closes places, and then we want to play as early as possible. Visit TullymoreGolf.com, TullymoreGolf.com, or what you can do is you can call Matt Golden right now, 1-800-972-4837, 1-800-972-4837. Book your stay and play at Tullymore today. We got a ton of messages to get to, but first, let's get over to our Meyer Supercenter guest lines where you find Paul on the line, wants to talk Michigan and the Detroit Lions. Paul, good morning to you on a Victory Monday. How are you, my friend?
Victory Monday, baby. How are we?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't be better. I am on cloud nine right now. If only the Pistons would get their act together, I would be in perfect shape. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. I love it.
Oh, yeah, me too, man. You know, I said last year that this was going to be a really fun year for both of our football teams. You know, granted, you're a Michigan fan, and we are 17-2 combined. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. And you know what? First of all, let me start off with Michigan. I think that this is hands down the best defense in the country. You know, I don't think anybody can compare, anybody can size up. And I think that can take us to at least the national championship game. Georgia is very much back. Anybody that, you know, any doubts about Georgia, they were wrong. I mean, that's an NFL team over there, and I think we are also an NFL team. So I don't know if we can ultimately win the national title, but dang it, we can get there, Anthony. And I think this Michigan team is the best we've probably seen since '97 at least.
Paul, where are you calling from?
And GR.
Paul and GR. Paul and GR is better than Paul Feinbaum. This is the real Paul right here, folks. Don't listen to that other guy on TV dressed like Mr. Magoo. Listen to this Paul right here. That's the Paul I love.
Dude, Paul Feinbaum's a fool, man. ESPN, it's not even objective reporting. Pete Hamilton, he's a loser. You know what? When they come to Pete Hamilton, yes, he is a loser. A loser. When they come to Ann Arbor, College Game Day, and if ESPN comes to Ann Arbor, oh boy, we better make it HE double hockey sticks for them, my friend, because they are not welcome. I don't care what we have to do. Just win, baby. I mean, yeah, did we cheat? I don't know. Maybe we did, but it's like, hey, you want to be like all these other top programs. I don't care. I'm taking lives right now because you know what? Michigan is here to stay. We're the best freaking team in the nation, and I don't care how we have to do it. Just win. And here's the other thing, too. J.J. McCarthy, he's our secret weapon, and I love how he just ran it down their throats, and we still won. We didn't have to throw a forward pass the entire second half, and we still won by by 2 scores. Think about that. How awesome is that? I'll let you talk. Sorry, man.
No, you're good, man. I love it. I love the energy, Paul. Hey, I was referring to Pete Thamel as Pistol Pete, but I like your joke there is pretty good. Kind of like Moose Knuckle, right? That's pretty funny. So, Paul, I wanted to know, you know, when you think about Michigan, you think about the fact that they didn't use the forward pass, right? And then you think about Manny Diaz in that promotional video that Penn State, like, be early, be loud, and he pointed to his wrist, and he pointed on third down, and he pointed to his ear, and that means get there early, be loud on third down, we need to hear you or whatever. And those are our signs. I thought it was really funny that Michigan just went right at Manny Diaz. And I don't know if you saw Dave Portnoy's video, his ode there at the end of the game to Penn State and to Manny Diaz, but it's really worth looking up. It's on Twitter. You can find it.
Oh, trust me, I watch every single one of his videos. He's a Michigan man through and through. And you know what? It's so funny, too, how Michigan's Twitter was trolling after the game. They just retweeted that and said LOL. Like, how savage do you have to be? You know what? It's Michigan versus everybody. I don't care what anybody says. We're not going to have to vacate anything. And if we do end up winning the national title, I cannot wait to see the meltdown that ensues with OSU and MSU fans, because they are going to lose their minds. And they're just going to be crying and whining. And I just, oh my God. I'm people like you and I if we win the national title and win, saying win, we absolutely obliterate Ohio State for the third year in a row, we're going to be insufferable. And I don't care, because guess what? I'm a UM alum. I've seen a lot of years of losing, or not losing, just not winning. And man, this feels good. It just feels good to have such a good team.
Paul, are you going to come to? Are you coming to our tailgate prior to the Michigan Ohio State game?
If I'm invited, hell yeah. Where is it at?
Well, of course you're invited. It's at the Stadium Club, 327 East Hoover. It's like an open field. They threw down some field turf carpet between like where the band practice at, on Hoover across from like Yost and whatnot. It's a block away from the stadium. So you keep walking away from Yost down Hoover. It's on the right-hand side of the street. Big House is on the left. You should come by. 8 to noon, we're going to be there. I can only be there till 9 because then I got to run into the stadium and do my job. But I hope that you come out to the tailgate if you're going to come out to the game.
Anthony, I follow you on Twitter. Can I DM you for more details? Because I'm not going to remember all this.
Yes, you can, my friend. Yes, slide in the DMs. It goes down in the DMs is what the kids say.
I will slide in the DMs. All right, and then Lions. I mean, God, what a win. What a gutsy win. I mean, this is what football weekends are all about. This is what we've been waiting for our whole lives, isn't it, Anthony? I mean, how sweet is this? Yeah, the defense was bad yesterday, and, I thought the refs were going to, penalize us for breathing and existing yesterday. But you know what? The same old Lions never would have overcame everything that they had to yesterday. But this team, this Dan Campbell-led Lions team, is different, my friend. They are different, and not only are we going to win the NFC North by a mile, but I think we can win a couple of playoff games. I mean, this is fun. I'm so pumped up at 7:30 on a Monday because this is fun. This is so much fun. This is just awesome on so many levels.
I love it. I love it, Paul. I love the energy. I love the juice. Fans, let's make some noise for Paul. He's a Michigan alum. Paul, slide in the DMs for more details, would you? Great to hear from you, my friend. Keep up the great energy there on a Monday.
Hey, I will talk to you soon, my friend, and I will see you at the tailgate. Go Blue.
Sounds good, brother. Go Blue. Here's what the other Paul had to say.
Fairly impressed with this Wolverines road win. We teased it. It worked on me. You have the floor. What was your reaction after Michigan wins without Jim Harbaugh?
Well, I think it was a negligible loss. Really, I'm not sure what difference Harbaugh would have made. First of all, he would have called the same plays. He would have operated the game in the same way. And by the way, it doesn't look great, but Michigan really didn't have to do anything for one reason. James Franklin is one of the most unimaginative big game coaches in the history of the game. I don't know what he was trying to do, but it didn't look to me like he was trying to win the game. And that's what you're supposed to do. His record in these big games against Michigan and Ohio State is abysmal, and I think that's one reason why Michigan played it close to the vest and won fairly easily.
Interesting. We'll step aside. Russell Baxter will join us next here. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Bill Simonson here for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he is a managing shareholder at Br0's, soon to be Doran Mayhew at the end of the year. And with the merger, there is growth and a chance for you to fill an executive or other high-level finance-related roles, either at Br0 here in downtown Grand Rapids or over at the Dorn Mayhew World Headquarters in Troy, or at any of their offices across the country and around the world. They have a national specialized talent pool with ideal candidates for long-term placement, ongoing support for post-placement success. So if you're looking for that next chapter in your professional career, talk to Josh Garvey and the team at Bean Garter. Easiest way, you can call Bean Garter, ask for Josh Garvey, or go to their website, BEENEGARTR.com, or look for Bean Garter, soon to be Dorn Mayhew, on Facebook and on Twitter.
Earn bonus points with M-Perks at Meijer for just one more way to save this holiday season. Shop groceries, apparel, gifts, and more, and earn points on it all. And right now, earn 2 times the points for every $1 you spend on select Meijer brand food. Earn points every time you shop and redeem them anytime you want. Make Meijer your one-stop shop for everything you need this holiday season. And with M-Perks, you'll save even more. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
You're listening to Michigan's statewide morning show, X's and Bros, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
You know, in the NBA, the game could change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Best of all, it's safe, secure, and reliable. 24/7 support. You can deposit, withdraw your cash whenever, wherever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE, promo code HUGE. New customers get $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5 on Shooty Hoops. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, only using the promo code HUGE. The crown is yours. Now, if you or somebody knows a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117, 21 plus, physically present in Michigan. Eligibility and deposit restrictions do apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball. Terms, that's Ben Glazer, Ryan Elke. I'm Anthony Bellino. Join us on the horn right now. I haven't heard this man's voice in a very long time, and it is an absolute pleasure to have him on the program with us. His name, Russell Baxter. Find him on Twitter at Bax Football Guru. Russell, my friend, how are you? How's life? How are things, partner?
Things are cruising along. You wait for the season to get here, and all of a sudden you're wrapping up week 10. So it flies by every year, and it's been interesting. It's had a lot of ups and downs, some really bad offenses. And yesterday, 5 games decided on the final play of the game with a field goal.
The parity of this league is unlike anything that we have in sports. That much is for certain. I mean, it is truly in any given Sunday. When you look at one of those games, the Ravens and the Browns, for example, the Ravens led the entire game up until the clock hit 0. Like, that is absolutely wild to me.
Yeah, and I give credit where credit's due, because the Browns, not the most successful franchise, obviously, since they came back into the league as an expansion club. Deshaun Watson, the Hamilton play, like right off the bat, they're down 7-0, and down double digits most of the game, and hung in there, and a lot of resiliency. That defense gave up some big plays, but that defense is still pretty damn good. And they hung around and got them at the wire. And, we've seen, as good as the Ravens have been this year, Anthony, Deshaun Watson's had some problems with turnovers. And it's been less about interceptions. Now, I think he threw 2 yesterday, but he's had problems with fumbles. Going into games yesterday, he had fumbled 10 times and lost 6 of them. People, a lot of times when they look at quarterback, they look touchdown, interception. Well, the fumbles count as turnovers too. So they got a little turnover prone late. And what it shapes up now is a fascinating week 11 in the AFC North, because Baltimore and Cincinnati's at Baltimore on Thursday night. They're coming off a loss. And Cleveland and Pittsburgh have their rematch on Sunday afternoon. I mean, a lot of people were high on the AFC North coming into the year. I know I was. I thought they could flirt with the fact that maybe all 4 teams got into the playoffs. This is going to be a wild weekend coming up. Cincinnati's defense was absolutely torched by the Texans yesterday. And it wasn't just C.J. Stroud. It was the running game as well.
And when you think about the AFC North and how good we thought they would be. In Baltimore, they slapped us around, the Detroit Lions. I mean, that was bad. That was really, really, really bad. That was a game where we just, burned the tape afterwards. The Browns sneak away, get that victory yesterday. You mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coincidentally, that their offense struggles as much as it has this year. Someone had mentioned to me that there's really no difference between Pittsburgh and the Iowa Hawkeyes, which I got a good giggle out of because they wear the same colors as well. So as you mentioned, a very, very big weekend upcoming in Week 11 for the AFC North. Now, I did see you and I were both tweeting about the same thing going into last night's game, and that was NBC Sports with an all-timer of a great intro, turning back the clock to 1968 in a game between the Jets and the Raiders. I thought I had heard the story, but didn't know like the actual background of it, and it's really difficult for anybody in the modern era to kind of understand what television and what broadcasts of games looked like back then, especially for all of us that weren't around in that era. But I thought that was a sensational historical lesson for Jets Raiders last night. Great job, NBC.
Well, I had done a couple shows. I do a couple podcasts and appearances on other things, and my joke going into it is what was going to be the over-under on Heidi references between the Jets and the Raiders. For people who don't know, the teams played in 1968 in Oakland. The game ran a little late. TV rules were a little different back then. NBC dumped out of the game with the Jets ahead, and then everybody found out the Raiders scored 2 late touchdowns and won the game 43-32. They dumped out so they could show the movie Heidi. And that's where it all began from there. And unbelievably, they got the young lady who is obviously now a lot older. I think her name is Jennifer Edwards, who someone on my friends told me on Facebook was the daughter of Blake Edwards, the famous director. So there's another tie-in. And she didn't want to be blamed anymore for the Heidi game and so on. I thought it was just absolutely brilliant. By the way, a little side note to that. Later that year, the Jets and the Raiders played in the AFL championship game. The Jets won and then went on to win Super Bowl III.
Well, how about that? See, a little history lesson for all of us. When we think about the Jets, I mean, I don't know how many straight possessions. It was like 33 or 34 and counting that they had gone without scoring an offensive touchdown. The Jets are a point of contention here and on our program and in the great state of Michigan. And you might be thinking to yourself, how in the hell is that possible? Well, at the same time, our head coach, Dan Campbell, was hired, a Michigan native, a Dearborn guy, and Robert Saleh was hired for the New York Football Jets to be their head coach. And there was talk about maybe the Lions should make a move for a quarterback. Zach Wilson's name was brought up. So there's some ties here. The Jets preseason this year, they go out in the offseason and go get Aaron Rodgers. And in the preseason, a lot of people have them pegged not only to make the playoffs, but the AFC Championship game kind of felt like the bare minimum. And then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, tears his Achilles in the first snap of the game, and the Jets sit here losing 16-12 last night for their 5th loss of the season. Why is there such a stark difference between the expectation having Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson at quarterback, Russell?
Well, because, Aaron Rodgers, even though some people will say he didn't have the greatest of years last year, and he didn't, because when you come off back-to-back MVP years and put up the astounding numbers they do, expectations are going to be high with any players like that. Expectations were high when Russell Wilson went to Denver. What happened there? It didn't work out, even though that was really not about injury, just inefficiency and so on. And who knows what they're going to look like last night. I know they won their last 2 games and so on. So sometimes the quarterback just doesn't solve anything. I give the Jets a little credit because they really kind of hung in there. But the difference, obviously, besides experience, when you watch Zach Wilson play, there's a franticness to him. And they've now gone, let's see, I think he was only sacked twice last night. He was sacked 8 times on Monday night. They've kicked 6 field goals in their last 2 games in a 7-day span. Now, I will also say this. In the AFC, as crazy as it sounds, and especially in the AFC East, Anthony, nobody's pulled away. Miami is not pulled away. New England lost again. If Buffalo loses tonight, they're sitting at 5-5. The Jets have 2 games with the Dolphins yet. They've already beaten Buffalo. They can't seem to beat New England, which is mystifying. So we have seen in this league craziness. I mean, Jacksonville was completely written off last year at 4-8. They won their last 5 games. Then they were completely written off when they fell behind the Chargers 27-0, and then they won that playoff game. So this is a season of ebbs and flows, and San Francisco was bullying the entire league. Then all of a sudden they lost 3 straight. It's the old Ray Stevens song. They call it the streak.
Russell, in your opinion, who is the best team in the NFL right now?
I think it's Philadelphia. And not just because they're 8-1, but because when you see other teams like Baltimore yesterday, like Cincinnati yesterday, find way to lose games, they keep on finding ways to win games. Now, I know they laid in, a tough game against the Jets, which we just talked about the Jets, but the Jets were the only team to beat Philadelphia this year. But they dominate in their division. They're doing it different than they did last year. Jalen Hurts has been turning over the ball a little more. They're getting a huge year from their skill positions, especially A.J. Brown. DeAndre Swift has been bonkers for them. And more important than anything else, Anthony, they have the formula that got them to the Super Bowl last year and won the Super Bowl in 2017. We can talk about skill positions all you want, and it's fun. Offensive line, defensive line. Offensive line, arguably the best in the league. Defensive line, arguably the deepest in the league.
Russell Baxter joining us right now. You can find him on Twitter at Bax Football Guru. Russell, what's your view right now? The Lions, they looked very good, both sides of the ball early in the game. The offensive side continued to march against the L.A. Chargers. The Chargers made some adjustments. Justin Herbert was slinging the football, getting it out of his hands fast. We couldn't get that pass rush going. Every time we got close to him, he'd weasel his way out of there for 3, 5, 13 yards on a carry. What's your beat right now on the Detroit Lions? Are they as good? Is that the national? Are they as good as some of the national pundits say? Are you a little bullish on them right now? Where do you stand with our Honolulu blue and silver?
Well, it's hard not to like them. Skill-wise, I mean, you look at their numbers, across the board, offense and defense. But, offensive numbers defensive numbers, you got to keep in mind here that this is now the third time this year, Anthony, third time in 9 games that they've given up at least 37 points. They gave up 37 at home in the overtime loss to Seattle. They got blasted by Baltimore. They gave up 38. Yesterday, they gave up 38. So as good as their defense can be, Aiden Hutchinson, they do a pretty decent job of stopping the run, but they were non-existent against the pass yesterday. And if not for the big offensive performance, I mean, they wind up letting that game get away probably. You don't score 30, you don't give up 38 points and win too many games. I mean, the other 2 games they lost. So I like what I see. I'll tell you one thing, though. Minnesota is turning into one of the best stories of the year. They're 0-3, and now all of a sudden they're 6-4, and they're right on the heels. And here's something to keep in mind. We don't see Minnesota and Detroit play each other until Week 16 and Week 18.
It's going to be a battle royale for that NFC North, and that's what's very interesting about Minnesota. We all kind of wrote Minnesota off, and then Kirk Cousins gets hurt. Josh Dobbs comes in. Is that the best feel-good story in the league right now, Joshua Dobbs?
Yeah, I think so. And also how they've been able to turn it around. And remember last year, they were 13-4. They won a lot of close games. It's hard to go 13-4, Anthony, and give up more points than you scored. And then they got absolutely, as far as I was concerned, embarrassed by the Giants in the playoff game. Then got off. They looked like they kind of picked up where they left off. And then all of a sudden they turned things around and, they're getting more production from – and listen, they haven't had Justin Jefferson either. So they're getting a little better play from their defense. Brian Flores is there now. And early in the year, they were a little shaky. Even yesterday, they were a little shaky. But they're playing, I think, more complementary football. They're not relying on their offense. Last year, they had to rely on their offense to win. I don't think that's the case this year. They're a little more balanced and a little more resourceful. And my goodness, like I said, 0-3 and now 6-4. And, the Bears have done, by the way, the Lions, who have, I think they get the Bears this week, they finally play another division. They've only played one division game so far. But Detroit's 1-0 in the division. Minnesota's 2-0 in the division. So those Week 16 and Week 18, it's so hard to believe it won't come down to that.
The Detroit Lions will get the Chicago Bears this week. Bears are 3-7 on the season. Lions, of course, 7-2 after the victory on the road in L.A. against the Chargers on Sunday. What is the biggest issue with the Bears, and are you surprised that they decided at the deadline to go after a pass rusher, trade some assets, and then kind of double down on the contract there? For me, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense because it felt like they had some other areas to address, and I feel like that's going to affect their cap moving forward. What's the right remedy to fix the Bears here?
Well, first of all, let's not forget that they gave up the most points in the league last year. And, as good as they can be offensively, I mean, we saw them really sharp against Denver, and they wound up blowing that game at 31-28. So you're not going to have any success unless you could stop somebody first. As much as this is quote unquote an offensive league right now, you've got to be able to stop teams. And when you're in a division like the Bears are now, for years it was Aaron Rodgers, but Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff now, and so on. So they're not stopping. They weren't stopping. They lost every game in the division last year, Anthony. So that's an issue. And by the way, they've lost their 2 games in the division this year. So you're not going anywhere unless you can beat the teams in your division. And their biggest problem against their division foes is defense, and they've been horrific rushing the passer. And who would have thought that with Matt Eberflus coming in, who did a pretty good job with the Colts? They've got some playmakers on offense. Wide receiver wise, tight end wise, and stuff like that. They just need more experience from their quarterback and so on. But if you're constantly chasing the other team, then you have issues. I mean, a great example is Washington. Washington, their supposed problem was their quarterback coming into the year. Their defense last year was, 3rd in the league. Washington's least problems has been Sam Howell. Their biggest problems have been their defense. And I think that's also why they wound up trading away Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So they want to start over on that side of the ball.
Well, interesting strategy. One thing I always like to ask anytime we have national guests on is, who is your favorite team to watch? Like, who do you get the most enjoyment from watching? I always find this perspective interesting.
I think because I really enjoy watching Tyreek Hill, I would say it's the Dolphins right now, as far as enjoying watching. I don't have a favorite team and so on. So, but I enjoy watching the Lions too, because they have playmakers on both sides of the ball. That's one thing Miami does not have. Miami doesn't really have playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Watching Aiden Hutchinson chase down people is a lot of fun. And I like watching different teams for different reasons too, because there are guys who, watching Max Crosby is a blast, because it's not just him rushing the passer. Same thing with T.J. Watt yesterday. T.J. Watt had 1 sack. T.J. Watt had 7 solo tackles yesterday. So watching these guys who really stand out amongst the crowd and so on, to me, it's there are times, Anthony, it's more fun watching defensive guys than it is offensive guys. But watching Tyreek Hill is like watching Forrest Gump.
I don't know if he's ever been described as that, and I would love for him to hear that. He is Russell Baxter. Find him on Twitter at Bax Football Guru. Russell, my friend, great to hear your voice. Thank you so much for the time this morning, partner. We greatly appreciate it.
No problem. Hope to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. There he goes. That's Russell Baxter. Coming up in hour number 3, we're going to dive into that Lions game. We got plenty of messages to get to. We want to take your calls, your thoughts on everything you saw this weekend, whether it was Michigan. Was it Michigan State? Was it perhaps we've got college shooting hoops tonight and tomorrow? Red Wings gone to Sweden? That's right. They went fishing. And, of course, the Detroit Lions are 7-2 after a massive road win against the LA Chargers. All that and more coming up next here, hour 3 of X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com. RoastUmber.com.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Book your stay this fall in a luxurious first-class room and receive $50 premium play, a $20 spa credit, and a $25 dining credit. Rates are just $289 a night, Sunday through Thursday, and $339 on Fridays and Saturdays. Reserve your room now, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Save on Thanksgiving in one stop at Meijer. Get a Meijer Grade A frozen turkey, 59 cents per pound, limit one. Plus all the potatoes, stuffing, and tasty pies you could want. And preview Black Friday deals in the Meijer app. Deals so good, you just gotta celebrate. Get Thanksgiving in one stop and shop holiday deals this week at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at RoastUmber.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huge here. AB's doing a heck of a job, and I'm ready to drop some huge opinions about what he's talking about later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Defended in the corner.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker. Kenneth Walker. Touchdown. Sparty. Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up. Yes. Caught. Touchdown to Detroit Lions. They did it. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the receiving end.
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Happy Victory Monday to you. It is the 13th day of November 2023 as we welcome you back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the great state of Michigan, from Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you to join the program at any time. Text the keyword Sports Radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports Radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 866-838-4843. 866-838-4843. I got Paul in my DMs right now. Michigan Paul, not Paul Feinbaum. Twitter at XB Mornings. Facebook X's and Bros. Television on BCSN and streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. That's Ryan Elke. Find him on Twitter at RyanL_Key. And Ben Glaze at the Ben Glaze. I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Now let's get you all caught up with all the happenings across the world of sports. We'll do so real quick right now in the headlines.
Big news. I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines.
No, it's real news for once.
The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
Jimbo Fisher's 45-25 at Texas A&M, or was. And now he's out. It's all over. It's all over. Jimbo Fisher's out. They owe him $75 million. Wow. That is a lot of cheddar. Tyrese Maxey scored 50 points, dedicated the win to Kelly Oubre, who was hit by a car. He was hit by a car. That's true. True story. He's got fractured ribs, all kinds of stuff. Like, not good. Not good at all. And I feel very, very bad for Kelly Oubre. Just walking and just got plunked by a motor vehicle. The Michigan State Spartans will be back in action on the hardwood for little shooty hoops. They'll take on the second-ranked Duke Blue Devils tomorrow night. ESPN. I believe that one's in the United Center for the Champions Classic. Michigan Wolverines are on the road. 6:30 tip-off tonight on FS1 against St. John's. Can't wait to see what they look like on television. On the football side of things, Michigan cleaned up against Penn State 24-15, beating the 10th-ranked Nittany Lions, which is no longer a good win because that's what we do here. Just move the goalposts. On the football side of things for our friends in green and white in East Lansing, it was a tough weekend. 38-3 loss to Ohio State. Sorry about that. Not much you can do. Great to see the Jets lose again. Can't score a touchdown. They lost last night on Sunday Night Football, 16-12 in front of the entire country. So that's always fun. 5 NFL games ended on game-winning field goals, the most ever in one day. Game-winning as in zeros on the clock there. San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey had the streak stopped. Yeah, 17-game touchdown streak. Going into the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, didn't matter. San Francisco won the game 34-3. That's all that does matter. Deshaun Watson and the Brownies, how about them rallying from 14 points down in the fourth quarter for a statement victory, 33-31. One of those field goals as time expired to give them a big-time victory. And as one of my friends just sent me on Instagram, it flipped the AFC North on its head. The Patriots bench quarterback Mac Jones for the final drive of the game. Bailey Zappi then threw an interception because the Patriots are an absolute disaster. Pistons lost 119-108 yesterday. Just a terrible loss to the Chicago Bulls. They are a disaster. The Lions won 41-38. Shout out Riley Patterson. 333 yards passing for Jared Goff. 116 on the ground for David Montgomery. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a.k.a. the Sun God, with 156 receiving. They're so good at football. I love it. And the Red Wings, 5-4 winners on Saturday over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's hop on over to that Meyer Supercenter guest line. That's where we find USDA. Scott is on the line, and guess what? We finally were able to introduce him as his real name, USDA Scott. See, Scott, the more information you give, the more information I can give.
That's my brother. Hey, first of all, as a Sparty, just out to my fine Michigan fans. You guys obviously are one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the whole land. You got a great chance to win it. Just keep beating people. Just keep beating people. You got kind of and I know you're going to say Penn State is phony. Yeah, they're phony, but.
I've been saying it all year, Scott. I've been saying it all year. I've been telling John Wagner every Wednesday morning Penn State is a fraud.
One thing that Penn State and Michigan State have in common, my guess is after Franklin is 1-15 against top 8 teams, I think Penn State and Michigan State are both going to be looking for new coaches here at the end of the season. That's the thing we have in common. But for Michigan fans, yeah, just keep beating people. Don't worry about it. I mean, these allegations, yeah, they're probably, it sounds like they're all true, but they're minor. Is it giving them a leg up? No. Should they have done any of those things? No. But move on. Just keep beating the snot out of people and, win a national championship. The only problem you have is I hear Brady is just all over one Harbaugh in Vegas, and I hear that Chicago's ready to give him GM and coaching. I do a lot of, the beef network down in Chicago. That's where we get our beef from. A lot of those people are big Bear fans, and they're saying they're ready to give him everything plus the kitchen sink. But we'll see what happens with all that after the season. Just keep beating people and win the national championship and bring it back home to Michigan. After we bring the Super Bowl, or before we bring the Super Bowl back to Michigan, because, and I hear all last night all over the Twitter feed and everything. Oh, look at Minnesota! Look at Minnesota. The nice thing about having a 4 o'clock game is you can watch the 1 o'clock game and see the entire thing. Did you watch the New Orleans and Minnesota game?
So I was watching Red Zone. Anytime the Lions aren't on and I got an opportunity, I watch Red Zone. So I was on that. So I mean, did I see it? Yes. Did I watch the game in its entirety? No.
Well, I have my laptop in front of me, and I got restaurants to take care of on Sundays. But anyhow, I was watching that. Neither of those teams scare me. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a tough game in Minnesota. It always is. It's going to be a tough game in Dallas. It's probably going to be a pretty tough game in New Orleans. We have 3 games, and the game in Chicago, even though they're crap, playing in 30-degree weather, that ain't no fun. Anything can happen. So we have some games left, but I am just our coach. Good night, nurse. That man. I won't repeat what Mr. Goff said.
No, he's got big balls. You could say that. He's got big footballs. Okay, you could say it. You could say it. Come on, Scott. You could say it.
I'm going to say balls of steel. It is, oh, my goodness. But it seems like he's doing that. You know what he's learned? He's doing that at the right times. I'm seeing him kicking field goals when he should. I'm seeing him, that last one was a risk. You either give them an opportunity to drive down with a minute and a half left, or you seal the game. He took the shot. And guess what? Jared Goff is that guy. I don't want to hear any crap from anybody else anymore. Jared Goff is that guy.
You heard the man, USDA Scott. Jared Goff is that guy. Scott, you have a great Victory Monday. We're going to be back with more X's and Bros talking more football next year on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's time to go in the huddle. 1, 2, 3, top flight.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the National Football League. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and be sure to use the promo code HUGE for a special offer when you sign up. That's code HUGE, H-U-G-E, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The Detroit Lions were on the road yesterday in L.A. against the 4-4 Chargers, who had won 2 straight before the late-game heroics from Lions kicker Riley Patterson, who knocked down a 41-yarder to give the Lions a 41-38 victory. Jared Goff was 23 of 33 for 333 yards and 2 scores. One to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who hauled in 8 catches on 9 targets for a whopping 156 yards, which gave him 4 straight 100-yard performances this season, tying Herman Moore and Calvin Johnson as the only players to go for 4 straight in a single season. The 1-2 punch of Montgomery and Gibbs combined for 193 yards on the ground, led by David's 116 and 1 score, and Gibbs added 2 touchdowns and an additional 35 yards from scrimmage, giving him 3 consecutive games over 100 yards from the line. With the win, the Lions improved to 7-2 on the season.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's a Black Friday free fall every week in November. Each week, nab the best deal around with drawings from 3 to 11 p.m. Every hour, 4 lucky players will win up to $1,000 premium play. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. It's Black Friday free fall. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here, X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Hey, folks, Tullymore Golf Resort in Canadian Lakes, Michigan, offering not one but two championship courses. Tullymore and St. Ives. It's smack dab in the middle of the state. An hour north of Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant, which means it's easy to get to no matter what direction you're coming from. And it's more than just golf. They've got the lodging and the accommodations to be able to cater to you and your partner, your foursome, up to 400 of your closest friends, family, and coworkers. Tullymore Golf Resort, top-of-line accommodations, top-of-line golf, top-of-line golf carts, beautiful clubhouse, and the perfect space for your wedding event, reception, or group outing. TullymoreGolf.com, TullymoreGolf.com, or call 1-800-972-4837, 1-800-972-4837. Never too early to start thinking about 2024 as well. Let's get over to Dave in Hudsonville. Wants to talk about the maize in blue, I think. Dave, good morning to you.
Hey, B, how you doing, man?
I am fantastic. How are you, Dave?
I'm well, thank you. And I'm not going to rain on your parade, but I'm going to throw you a different theory of the case, AB, and see what you think. Because last week you were rational for a while, and then you started drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. I felt.
Well, was it Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid?
I'm all about the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. I'm talking about the maize and blue Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay.
Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid, great. I'm loving it.
Delicious, low in sugar too.
Yeah, there you go, man. But let me throw you this and see what you think, because you can be a rational thinker, and I appreciate that about you. Much like other institutions, I felt like Michigan made a huge mistake in how they've played this, because it's been bleeding now for weeks, and I think there's a reason why. But I think what they should have done is, as soon as the report comes out, if Harbaugh denies that he knows about it, he and Ward Manuel need to say, that's not what happens here at Michigan. We are going to do an investigation and find out, because that's not how we do our business here. Never happened. I think their plan was to let the NCAA slow walk it. And they were counting on the fact that, this won't come up until next year, and we can play this season out. And so then all of a sudden the pressure falls on Tony Petitti at the Big Ten, and it needs to, because just like any place else, if you're a member of an institution, they look to that institution as an organizational piece that goes back. But I do think now it's people are like, about an hour ago, your caller, Paul, holy cow, let's just embrace it. You care to speculate at what his political persuasion is, in that regard? But at this point, and Sharon Moore acts like Jim Harbaugh's got cancer. Geez, that was embarrassing for Michigan.
Well, the way I look at it with the Sharon Moore thing is it's much greater than him and Jim Harbaugh. It's not that Jim Harbaugh died. I saw a lot of those comments like, oh, my God, I didn't know. It's about Sharon Moore being the guy that Jim Harbaugh turned to under the circumstance, and what that means for Sharon Moore and people that look like Sharon Moore.
I can appreciate that. But the other thing, too, is this us versus everybody. Hey, this was created by the Michigan coaching staff. Harbaugh gets millions of dollars. And when things go well, he gets more millions of dollars because of incentives. But when things don't in the program, if he would have said immediately, because he loves to get on his soapbox about there's other cheaters out there and what goes on, that shouldn't happen, it doesn't happen at Michigan, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and Ward Manuel did, they would have had this behind them. They could have managed this, I firmly believe, in a whole different way.
That's interesting.
No leadership. Ward Manuel's got to be. It's the tail wagging the dog. He and Santo Ono were so afraid of, the whole football piece that goes on, and they want to take this ride. But Michigan doesn't win anything if they win. And it's this piece that it's always going to be tainted. But if Ward Manuel and Harbaugh would have strategically gotten together and said, we're gonna go investigate this. It should not happen. It's wrong, because they don't deny it happened. Tony Petitti met with Santo Ono and Ward Manuel and the NCAA, and they showed them the evidence they have. The evidence is there. They did it. And they used the information. I'm not saying Harbaugh knew, but his coordinator, his defensive coordinator knew. Other people knew and so forth. But I just think they could have handled it completely differently.
When you say that they knew, what do you mean by that? When you say that they knew?
When you have a supposed low-level staffer parked right behind your defensive coordinator telling him what the play is, and then having the defensive coordinator make adjustments, that coordinator's going to know.
So does he know that this guy does he know that he has the signals, or does he know how he got the signals, how he acquired such signals?
Well, either way.
There's a drastic difference here, though, Dave. There's a drastic difference.
Yeah,
if I was involved in the mafia, but if I was involved in the mafia and I had a constituent of mine who was engaged in some illegal activity, that, hey, I have you to go out there to do a job. Doesn't matter how you get the job done. Just go do the job. And you present to me, hey, the job is done. Here's a fish in a newspaper. I don't need to know how you did it, just that the job was done. And if I may,
right, but if you're the head of that organization, you're still responsible for what goes on under that umbrella of your organization.
Correct. I'd probably catch a racketeering charge.
Yes, you would. You'd catch some sort of a charge. And at the end of the day, you have to have someone with some logic hold the organization accountable, no matter who it is. Tony Petitti has to do something in regards to when the constituent members of that organization come. We're at the point now where it feels like the high school situation where the kid got caught at the party drinking beer and it's cold and then he's getting suspended for the game. Then the parents are going to sue the school, to say, hey, he's going to play in this game when they know that kid was caught. I mean, if Harbaugh just would have come out with Ward Manual and say, this is not how Michigan does things, this is not what we believe in, the things he preaches about, I think he could have ended it weeks ago and isolated it and addressed it, and it would have been packaged a whole different way. And the fear of that is that they're afraid of an investigation, knowing where it might go, and so now they're just embracing what it is.
Well, we know that they can't tie it back to Harbaugh. We know that for sure. The NCAA has admitted that. Petitti's admitted that. Everybody knows, and that's why suspending Harbaugh, that's why the Michigan lawyers are going to lawyer up and go after him, because it's like, how do you suspend a guy if you know that he is not connected to this and has no knowledge of the sign-stealing scheme of espionage from Connor Stallions? Also, underage drinking is a criminal offense. That's a crime. You can't buy beer and supply it to a minor.
Sure. But my other piece is Harbaugh also was the head of that organization. So he's got to take responsibility, good or bad, for whatever happens in that organization. But and even more reason, if Harbaugh said he didn't know, even more reason for him to want an investigation launched immediately by Michigan. I mean, Michigan took a completely different tack in the fall when they self-imposed a three-game ban for him. At this point, he could have exonerated himself, and then he could have gone through and said, we want an investigation. We want to clean our own house up. Nobody at Michigan wanted to look to clean their own house up.
Well, there was something in there, too. When the Big Ten and the NCAA first said that they were going to investigate, there was something along the lines of, like, they could not comment on anything because of the investigation. So if you wanted him to say, like, hey, we're going to look at it, if that would have made you feel better, then all right, I'm good with that. Like, yeah, he could have came right out and said that. I would have been okay with that.
Well, no, I mean, but in Ward Manual, overseeing football should have done that as well, because that's his job. His job is to oversee those sports. And when if anything happens in your organization, you should go in and do an investigation.
And I suppose that this is a battle of, I was listening to a guy's name's, what is his name? Last name's Bustamante. If you have an opportunity, he's a, I don't know what ethnicity he is, but he's got long, dark, curly hair. I don't know if he's Middle Eastern or what he is, but he worked for the CIA. And he's got a couple of great interviews out there. I'd highly suggest the Sean Ryan show. But he talks about perspective versus your perception, right? And perception is reality, right? How you perceive things. But perspective is being able to see the world from outside of your own view, right? So that's when I hear what you're saying, Dave, and I look at it from that perspective of somebody else looking at Michigan, very upset at this, where the perception, I don't even really have my own perception of this. Like, I'm still very much involved and invested into how much everybody knew and what that hammer looks like when it comes down, as I kind of have been the whole week. But you know what? We had to go beat Penn State without throwing a forward pass on Saturday, and we got to get to that next. Dave, appreciate the call. We'll be back with more X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. At MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Earn bonus points with M-Perks at Meijer for just one more way to save this holiday season. Shop groceries, apparel, gifts, and more, and earn points on it all. And right now, earn 2 times the points for every $1 you spend on select Meijer brand food. Earn points every time you shop and redeem them anytime you want. Make Meijer your one-stop shop for everything you need this holiday season. And with M-Perks, you'll save even more. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org. Huge here. AB's doing a heck of a job, and I'm ready to drop some huge opinions about what he's talking about later today at 3 on the Michigan Sports Network.
miss any of today's show? Find our podcast and listen on demand on Google, Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcast. Now, back to X's and Bros with Anthony Bellino here on the Michigan Sports Network.
You know, in the association, the game can change in an instant. But no matter how the action unfolds, you know DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Best of all, it's safe, secure, reliable, and with 24/7 support, you can deposit, withdraw your cash whenever, wherever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE. Promo code HUGE. New customers get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, only using the promo code HUGE. The crown is yours. Disclaimer time. If you or somebody knows a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117, 21 plus, Michigan only. Eligibility and deposit restrictions to apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. We got a ton to get to, and the phone line is still ringing. Let's get to Danny in Brighton. Danny, good morning to you, my friend. How are you, partner?
Anthony, my friend. What's going on?
Not much. Just Victory Monday. Everybody wins. Michigan and the Lions, as brought to us by one of our faithful callers, now combined 17-2 on the season. Oh my God, we're good at football,
dude. It's great to be blue this day, isn't it?
Oh, it's so good, isn't it, Danny? Let's just revel. Let's just roll around in our blue Kool-Aid.
The blue Kool-Aid, silk blue pajamas with blue. So I kind of wanted to reference some of the things that Dave in Hudsonville was talking about, and
yes,
you know, at least I'm guessing that he is. I don't know how blue he is. I'm guessing probably not, but
he's very green.
Reason he's not like, well, yeah, sounds like it. So one of the things, and this is one of the things that I have yet not been able to find out, and I know this could be controversial, but I'm trying to figure out what rule Connor Stalions broke, because everything that I've Googled says that you can't have paid staff film a game. That's what I've read. Now, maybe you just can't film a game. I don't know what that is. Do you?
So you can't film within the playing area, which by the bylaws is described like 20 yards of every direction of the field. It's a mess. It's a mess. Did Connor Stalions, was it known that, or did they pay him to go on and go forward with his vast network of spies out there to collect signs and data that other coaches who are too lazy to change their signs on a week-to-week basis, did he violate the rule? That's what we need to know. I mean, we'll wait and see if there is a rules violation here, because we don't know what Jim Harbaugh knew or did not know. And my very close friend, Jeremy Birmingham, is an avid Buckeye reporter. He is fair. He is honest. I admire his work. I love him. He texted me on the side yesterday, and he said, "You are not this ignorant." And I said, Jeremy, thank you for acknowledging that I am not ignorant. But, and yes, so do I know the inner workings? Yes. But is there a plausible deniability here? Can Michigan sit back and say, look, we didn't know? And there's no way that you could prove that we knew. All we knew is that the guy assigned to scout the other team's signals is really flipping good at what he does. And if that is the case, then we're clean. And everybody else could be mad. Stalions resigned. It is what it is. Like, it's over. And I know that everybody else is mad. What I can't seem to figure out, Danny and Brighton, is that there were how many college football games played yesterday across the football bowl subdivision? 130-some teams. There's probably roughly 60 games, 66, whatever the case may be. Why is everyone so worried about talking about us, as in Michigan? Why? You know, we're taking all these calls and all these thoughts. I got Buckeye fans in my mentions, and I got Michigan State fans in my mentions. I'm wondering, what did your team do this week, and why don't you talk about them? That's peculiar, don't you think?
I think it's very peculiar. And, you know, the other thing, the assumption that, like, so Dave said, well, the coordinators had to know. Why would they have to know? I think Michigan actually proved last week that other teams had their signs. So getting the signs is no big deal. Somebody on every team staff is a sign stealer. Everybody has one. So why couldn't it be that guy? And why would it be unusual for your sign stealer to go up to Jerome Moore and Jesse Minter and say, this is what's going on? That's your job. So you figured, okay, he did his job. Why would I think any different of it? And just as an aside, in the Big Ten's letter when they suspended, they literally said, well, we have no evidence connecting Jim Harbaugh, or we have no proof that this happened, but we're doing it anyway.
Yes.
And the last, which I thought was just, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. But the last thing that they said that I really disagree with was that the Big Ten had to respond. I don't know if he used like the word rational or whatever term he used. So one of the podcasts I listened to was Dan Wetzel from Yahoo Sports. I love Dan Wetzel. I don't always agree with him, but at least I understand why he thinks what he thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, well, so somebody said, would Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, would he ever get the other 13 coaches on the phone and let them talk about Nick Saban? It's like, no,
absolutely not.
No. And that was his biggest mistake. That is like having, your young kids go up to the parents and complain about their older brother. The parents kick the older brother's ass because the younger kids are complaining about it. That's not what you do. And to me, that was failed leadership right there. That's not being a leader. That's being that's just like coddling to your constituents, and that's such a bad precedent. Now I got one other thing to say.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that I do think came out. I think Michigan has a problem in vetting some of their coaching candidates, because this is the second time in 2 years you had Matt Weiss and you had Connor Stalions where, certain personal characteristics.
Danny, look, I get it, but how do we know what these people are up to? If Matt Weiss is trying to log in and hack stuff, like how in the hell are we going to figure that out? How would we know ahead of time that this guy's going to do something? How do we know a GA was going to be a predator? Like, how do you know these things? Like, some guy told I'm a lab technician and I got to have a polygraph test. Well, good for you, pal. Let's go through and make sure all the volleyball coaches and gymnastics coaches, you want to launch this campaign to make sure that everybody goes through FBI level testing. Fine by me.
No.
Whatever.
I'm just saying, let's just make sure that we do a careful check on the people that we hire, especially on our big, high visibility programs, to make sure that we have the right people there. That's all. I'm not saying, everybody has to be.
They should have to sit down with Phil Martelli and have a one-on-one. That's what that should be the only polygraph they need. You sit down with Big Phil.
Come on, buddy. Is that what that's not what I said.
Who?
Well, but it's not Phil Martelli, because Phil Martelli. It's not Jesse Minter. It's not Sharon Moore. But it's like these low-level guys, like, just have a talk with them. Just make sure you know who you have.
That's why they should talk to Phil. That's why I trust Phil. Like, let's just make him sit in Phil's office for a couple hours and see. I don't know if he'd want to do that, but I would elect him for it.
Well, for especially for basketball, because that makes sense. Because but you need that guy, and I don't know that they had that guy to do that. That's all. Just like I said, it's just something that I just ask questions because I'm like, are we doing a good job of making sure we know what we know? Beyond that, zero issue with I understand what's going on, and I'm just it's a head scratcher, and I would be fascinated to hear. I would love to sit in the courtroom on Friday and listen to the Big Ten argue with Michigan and make their case, saying that they were biased and rational and not prejudicial in their judgment.
Yeah, that's going to be impossible. The headline this morning on Get Up was Michigan mess. Not Michigan beats Penn State without using the forward pass in the second half, but Michigan mess. You know what I mean, Danny and Brighton? It's just preposterous. I appreciate the call this morning. Thank you so much. I got to get to some of these messages, and we got to talk about the Lions too. I mean, Sharon Moore, next Michigan head coach, 4.9 yards and a cloud of dust. That comes from Wallace on YouTube. Wallace sounds like my kind of guy. Wallace sounds like William Wallace. right? What are you going to go do? I'm going to go peck a fight. I'm going to get to that momentarily. Why does Michigan need to clean house, according to Dave in Hudsonville, when probably 90% of college football teams likely do the same thing, just don't get caught because they don't have some genius wannabe idiot going rogue? Does Dave expect Jim Harbaugh to keep constant tabs on said rogue and all other staffers? Like a big brother? Does Dave have any thoughts on his own trash program in East Lansing? Good day, fellas. That comes from Will in Dutton. This weekend showed me how superior the SEC looks compared to the other conferences, and the Michigan, Ohio State especially. I watched a lot of football. Georgia looks like NFL guys out there against high school guys. They are bigger, faster, and better than everyone else out there. Alabama is right behind, so I don't see the playoff being very competitive with SEC teams. Do not forget, Alabama already lost to Texas. Just think 3 years ago at this time, you had a head coach who could not beat his main rivals, Ohio State and Michigan State. An owner so disgusted on Thanksgiving she put her head in her hands because of a coach who tore down a franchise, which she kept 1 year too long. Now Campbell and Harbaugh possibly being two of the best head coaches in all of football. How things have changed. Both legitimately have a chance to win it all, which will turn this state upside down. That comes from Freddie. You know, I've heard a lot of talk. I've heard a lot of talk about Michigan. And even I've said it. We haven't played anybody, but I'm honest about it because we haven't really played anybody. But I see the national pundits and the national media and everybody in the Big Ten talking about Michigan doesn't play anybody. Michigan doesn't schedule anybody. Who has Michigan played? My question is this. Who have the Buckeyes played? I mean, for the love of God. Michigan doesn't play anybody. And then they go ahead and beat Penn State without throwing the football in the second half. They ran it 30 times, right at Manny Diaz's forehead, right down his throat. And you mean to tell me we didn't play anybody, but we still beat them 24-15? Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Now you hear me. Who has Ohio State played? They beat Penn State. Oh, it's a quality resume building win. They beat Penn State. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's brand has been better than their football since the late 80s. They haven't been good. They got to a national championship game because of their brand and a guy running around with a fake girlfriend and got thunder punched. I know what that's like. It's happened to my team 2 years in a row, so I call it like I see it. And then who else did you play? Well, you played Notre Dame. You played Western Kentucky. Sorry, the Hilltoppers are 5-5 this year, folks. You played Youngstown State, the Penguins. They're not even Division 1A. They're not even FBS. You played an FCS team. You haven't played anybody, Buckeye fans. You haven't played anybody. Where's your team at? Where are they at? Why are you talking about who Michigan has played when your team hasn't played anybody? You played the myth that is Notre Dame. Ooh. Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, that's your non-conference? I mean, look at it like this. Ohio State played home games against Michigan State and Penn State. They beat Penn State 20-12. They did pass Michigan, and that was a great resume-building win. Michigan went on the road, beat them 24-15, and didn't throw the football. Are you serious? Ohio State beat Michigan 38-3. Couldn't even score 40 on the Spartans. Allowed 3 points. Michigan shut them out on the road. You people nuts. Fair and honest. That's all I am. I just call it like I see it. Now, I feel bad. We didn't get to our college football scoreboard today. We've only talked about the line. We haven't really talked about the Lions. It's Victory Monday. It's Victory Monday. And Jared Goff and the boys went on the road to the West Coast where they allegedly can't win, improved to 7-2 on the year. Jared Goff and the gang, when you look back at this run that they're on, over the last 19 games, the Lions are 15-4. Now, I know that everybody's going to be up in arms over the fact that they won this game 41-38 on a last-second field goal. And what about the defense? I'm right there with you. We got to make some adjustments. We got to change some things. But we did have the opportunity to get to Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert being 6'4", 6'5", is one slippery pickle out there. He was just escaping, sauntering around the field. He got the ball out fast. You know, Geno Smith did the same thing. That's where teams are beating us. We were running a lot of press man. They were still getting out fast. We went into zone. That was bad. Can't do that. Cannot do that. And we had some really bad matchups where Austin Eckler was being guarded by linebackers. That's probably not gonna win. Might need an extra DB in there at some point. Derek Barnes, you'd think athletically is your best opportunity there, but Derek Barnes' coverage leaves something to be desired. Gave up a field goal in the first 4 drives. That included a punt, the field goal, the interception, and then another punt. And then the LA Chargers went touchdown, 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 touchdown. It was like, oh, boy, can't stop them. This is a problem. However, the Lions, field goal, touchdown, turnover on downs. Ugh, that turnover on downs, too. I probably would have taken the points at that moment. I mean, but you're 4th and 1 at the 1, and it's kind of like, okay, if you punch it in, you go up 17-3. Your defense responded and got a punt, got a little 3-and-out action, and you scored a touchdown right away. So if you take the points there, it's 13-3. You added the touchdown, it's 20-3. And what was most important for me about this team, this Lions team, one, I love the fact that Amon-Ra St. Brown admitted after the game, he said, look, that touchdown run, we didn't have the right group out there. We had the wrong personnel group out there. And he's like, you're supposed to be in 12. We were in 11, meaning they were supposed to have a tight end, 2 tight ends on the field and 1 running back. But he was out on the field, so I only gave him 1 tight end. And they checked down to a run. And after the check to the run, David Montgomery went crazy and decided to have the longest run from scrimmage. I mean, you don't see 75-yard touchdown runs very much anymore in the NFL. You see it a lot in college. But in the NFL, it's tough. Welcome back, David Montgomery. Great to have you. I thought that the Jameson Williams had a touchdown that was taken from him because of an illegal low block. Taylor Decker's got to know better. You can't go low outside of the tackle box. I understand the purpose of the rule in trying to protect the defenders because every rule we have is in protection of the offense. So, if Decker just gets a hand on him, it probably affects him. He went low. You can't do it. I get it. I understand. It's unfortunate because I wanted Jameson to have that. I like that play call a lot, though. I thought Ben Johnson was in his bag. That inverted wishbone where, I think it was Montgomery going right, Amon-Ra coming back left. Love to see that. Love the play call. Here is Amon-Ra St. Brown going, oh, crap, we're in the wrong play. Let's score anyways.
Well, even on that one that David had, the 75-yard touchdown, I think, we were in the wrong personnel. it was supposed to be 12. And we were in 11, and so we called the play. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing on this play. I'm not supposed to be in. So I look at Jared. He checks it. He's like, you know what, let's just check it to a run. Everyone relax. He checks it, and David goes for 75 yards. So
I love it. David goes for 75 yards. We have a whole hell of a lot more Lions football to talk about tomorrow. I apologize for the amount of college football we had to talk about today, but a lot of people had a lot of Michigan thoughts on their mind, and that's okay. We welcome all of that here on this program, whatever your thoughts may be, but it is a Victory Monday. So let's go out on top, 7-2, second place in the NFC. And when the blue and silver wave,
Everybody,
stand and cheer the brave.
rah, rah, rah.
Go hard with the gain. We'll keep your fame. Down the field and gain a Lions victory. Go Lions! See you tomorrow, same time, same place, Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. It's the Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway every Saturday in November. 2 hourly winners, 5 to 10 p.m., take home a cool $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each night, one lucky guest wins a hot new Jeep Renegade or $15,000. The Blaze Through Fall Jeep Giveaway, only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Save on Thanksgiving in one stop at Meijer. Get a Meijer Grade A frozen turkey, 59 cents per pound, limit 1. Plus all the potatoes, stuffing, and tasty pies you could want. And preview Black Friday deals in the Meijer app. Deals so good, you just gotta celebrate. Get Thanksgiving in one stop and shop holiday deals this week at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for my friends from Coppercraft Distillery. Now they're a Michigan-based company. And they have a message for anybody 21 and up. You're going to want to get hooked up with this Honolulu Blue, a premium can cocktail. Vodka, blue raspberry lemonade. This special limited edition canned cocktail is available at local stores, pubs, and restaurants. And when you're cheering on our favorite pro football team, TDs, tailgates, and more, make sure you grab a Honolulu Blue from Coppercraft Distillery.
If you wait long enough, the pendulum swings in the other direction. All across Michigan, police academies are filling up. In fact, new sections are being added to accommodate the brave men and women making the decision to protect and serve. The Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police commends and welcomes these selfless, community-minded officers joining our ranks. We know we have more work to do, and with your help, the pendulum will swing in favor for all of Michigan.
Roast Umber is a farm-direct coffee sourced from Central American farmers and roasted in Grand Rapids. And also the Nitro Cold Brew Coffee is a convenient and healthy option for energy with no sugar additives. Look for it at your local retailer or at roastumber.com.
Merck Perks from Mercantile Bank is here. Merck Perks checking has all you need to plan your busy lifestyle. Travel services for hotels, airfare, and cruises, cash back rewards, and even savings on prescriptions, eyewear, and dental work. Merck Perks also includes all the traditional benefits you love, like online and mobile banking, and fee-free access to almost 40,000 MoneyPass ATMs. So when you're ready for perks, Merck is here. Learn more at mymerckperks.com.